Welcome to Paperweights, the podcast where two self-proclaimed gym rats and shooting enthusiasts delve into the world of literature with a sprinkle of humor. Although their biceps could crush a walnut, don't let that intimidate you. They also have a nerdy side. Mike and Brandon have a voracious appetite for reading, particularly in the fantasy genre, and they want to share their passion with you. So grab your protein shake and your favorite novel and join us for a humorous and insightful journey into the world of books with Paperweights.
Welcome back to another episode of the Paperweights. I'm your host, Brandon.
And Justin.
And today we are starting a new series, a new book, The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. It's book one in the Gentleman Bastard series. He has 3 books out currently, and supposedly book 4 comes out next year. We had the pleasure of meeting the author Scott Lynch at CoastCon, and he was very nice and polite and signed a few books.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I enjoyed the first part. We read to the beginning of part 2, so page 199. I enjoyed it, and we're going to get into that discussion in a little bit. First, start off with, if you enjoy our podcast, you can go ahead and click the subscribe, notification bell, leave a rating, a review, comment, share it, all that good stuff. It helps to get more people aware of the podcast, and that helps us out because the more people that we have listening and watching, the more we are driven to do more. We do this because we like it, not for people to follow us, but incentive is incentive. So yeah. We are sponsored by Mudcat Whiskers, which is a Louisiana small business that makes beard care products, candles, and next month is launching his cologne line. And he sent me a few bottles. One of these is going to be going to the giveaway, the winner of the giveaway, which when this is released, it will have been announced already. So congratulations to that lucky person that won a signed leather-bound copy of Mistborn and a Stormlight merch box from Hidden World Hopper. On Instagram is at Hidden World Hopper. Has a nice Etsy shop with all sorts of little trinkets and merch that he 3D prints and does a whole lot of different stuff with. Really cool. So you get a merch pack with that and a Bridge 4 t-shirt from Cosmere Moe's Etsy shop. But I'll show you the cologne bottle. It comes in a little box, all the little scents. It shows you what the little scent profile is on it. It does come wrapped in some paper to protect the bottle. And the bottle is pretty cool looking. Fancy. Looks like it belongs in a men's shop. So this one is the leather scent. I enjoy buying the candles. This one is a little heavier and spicier scent, so I like it for winter. But there's other scents that they have. The other one he sent is Jean-Luc, which is a lighter floral. It has Earl Grey in it, hence the name Jean-Luc. Because if you are a Star Trek fan, you know that Jean-Luc Picard likes his tea Earl Grey.
He does. He likes to engage.
Yes.
Colognes as well as starships.
Yeah. We didn't know that, right? He's Nicholas, who owns Mudcat Whiskers, is good friends with Jean-Luc Picard. They collaborated on that scent profile. So yeah, you head over to Mudcat Whiskers at www.mudcatwhiskers.com. Use code paperweights at checkout, and you will save yourself 15% on your order. Uh, so yeah, I think mid-June is when he's launching it. So it'll be right now. The colognes have pre-orders. So if you wanted to order a cologne because you don't have a beard, or you like cologne as well as having a beard, then go ahead and pre-order. Uh, so, all right, Justin.
Yeah,
Memorial Day. Did
yeah,
you do
Memorial
anything
Day.
fancy?
I did nothing. It was kind of nice, but kind of lazy too.
I just
I read this book actually. I was like, I need to catch up. for recording a couple of days.
yeah, I got to it last week because I was like, man, I'm really excited to delve into some books I haven't read. I also started up um, my daily nonfiction reads. Again, I had slacked off for about 6 to 8 months, but um, I decided to grab a nonfiction book and read 10 to 15 pages per day and just continue doing that. It adds more books read in a year, uh, lets me maybe learn some stuff or get some perspective about certain people. Right now, I'm reading Jeremy Renner's memoir, My Next Breath, I believe it's called. And he recounts the accident he had a few years ago on New Year's Day where he got ran over by a 14,000 pound snowcat. And
Yeah, I've heard that. It's pretty crazy.
yeah, he described a lot of the actual accident in great detail, and it's amazing that he survived.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
uh,
he is a superhero. So.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he's Hawkeye, but
That counts for something, right?
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
apparently it did.
yeah, yeah. It did. So, but yeah, I'm enjoying that. And sorry, on Memorial Day we did go to. Um, we decided to go to Biloxi and took a little ferry over to a place called Ship Island. And so it's about a 45-minute ferry ride over to that island. It's a little barrier island off of the coast of Mississippi in the Gulf of America. And so the water is a little bit more clear. It's still kind of muddy because of the Mississippi, but it's a little bit calmer out there and a little clearer than on the coast of Mississippi. And so we spent about half the day out there and then had some good food and drinks around Biloxi. So
Nice.
it's just my wife and I and my daughter. So
That's fun.
yeah,
Nice little day trip.
yeah, yeah. So all right, we will get started here with the book. So Justin is going to take over reading, or not reading, but kind of summarizing the chapters, and we'll see what discussion we get to.
Yeah. I guess before, just overall impressions, Brandon, what do you think of it so far?
Very easy to read. Uh, I could see why. So I tried to read this a couple times in the past, and I don't know if I was just not in the headspace or wanting something different. I tried reading it in the book, and I tried listening to the audiobook. Now the audiobook had good narration voices. The thief maker voice was like excellent and sleazy. So, but yeah, I could see why I might have been confused because just the way that it kind of jumps around time
Yeah.
lines. So if you're not aware of that and you're just thinking it's like a very linear path and through the story, then you will get extremely confused.
Yeah, there's some stuff in chapter 3 And I'm like, what? Oh, okay, yeah, now it makes sense. It like it like flashes back like 3 times. It's really weird. We'll get to it then. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you. I will say, so this is my second time reading it. I don't really remember much. I remember a couple of big things about it, but you can definitely tell that this is like a first novel because some of it, especially at the beginning, it is a little rough and like the sitting structure and stuff. And maybe it's just getting used to this new style, but like it was you know, just a little like rough, you could tell, like, and it seems to smooth out as it progresses. So you could see like bouncing off the first couple of like the first chapter or the prologue and stuff. While you're getting used to the writing and it's a little bit more rough, I would say.
Yeah, I thought the prologue is really good for pulling you in.
Yeah.
This prologue did a good job of that. Now, it is a long prologue, so yeah, I kind of think about some other people I've heard criticize Robert Jordan's work where they're like, I don't know why this is called a prologue because it's a chapter.
Yeah.
Um, but
I
I
mean,
mean,
it makes sense for this because it's like before the main story. Set number.
yeah, that I would agree with that. But then if you have the interludes too, which
Yeah.
it's going back to that timeline.
Yes. We're,
So
we're getting some memento action. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. Getting used to the style and everything. It is pretty easy read, and I did get a better sense of the world and stuff as it uh goes on. I guess we'll get into the prologue. So we're in the city of Comor, or the country. I think it's both city and the country of Comor. Which is basically steampunk fantasy, less steam in the punk fantasy Italy. It's basically what that is.
yeah,
It's cool. Like it uses like kappas and a lot of like
dog.
Italian gangster type language, which is fun. And we start off basically in the prologue. There's been a so this thief maker guy comes to this eyeless priest, and he's like, I'm gonna have to sell you this kid, or else I'm gonna have to kill him, right? And they're like, oh shit, what did he do? It's very intriguing, and it kind of flashes back from that, from the prologue, flashes back to there, and we learn about Shades Hill and the thief maker's like operation. Basically, there was like a plague that like kills off anyone like 12 or older for the most part. So then there's a bunch of orphan children, and they either get sold into slavery or the maker gets them, and he kind of turns them into his like little up and coming thieves. And he pays the watch for like the best ones. So he gets like 30 of them, but then our principal character, Locke Lamora, kind of snuck in with them. And he was like, oh, okay, I get an extra one for free. That's cool. And so that's kind of that. We learn about like the yellow jackets and this kind of like tenuous secret peace with them. And at that time also he's like, hey, look, while I was going, I robbed the yellow jackets, and thief maker's like, god damn it, that was a secret piece. You can't rob from the guards because then they're gonna like make our lives living hell and it's gonna be really bad. So that's this first transgression. He does a lot of transgressions. um
But it's out of ignorance, but
yeah,
still.
yeah, it's not internet because he's like 6 at this time. um then basically we get some like jump forward in time where he's kind of learning to be a thief. There's like we basically learn that they do like distractors and then like the actual like robbing. Like you want to make somebody look away and then rob them. And Locklemore is very good at it, and he like does it in flamboyant and flashy ways, which are supposed to be kind of inconspicuous because you know. And he does a couple of he does one thing that's really bad. He basically pretends to be sick with the plague and starts a giant riot and burns down an inn and kills a couple of people and stuff like that because of that. And we learn a little bit more about somebody that's above the thief maker, who's Capra Bravas,
Probably.
Brasavi, yeah, something like that. Who, who is like the head of all the gangs. So we're like, oh shit, you done messed up. You cost the big guy a lot of money. You drew a lot of attention. It's all really bad. So it's the second strike with Locke Lamora. And then so yeah,
But
basic.
neither of those things explain why, are not the reason that the thief maker said he has to kill Locke or sell him to the priest, though.
Yeah.
So
So then we find out that he caused the death of two of his like fellow orphans. And we don't really get what happened right now, but it intrigues Father Chains, who's the priest, and is gonna be his mentor, Locke's mentor. And he's posing as a priest of this other god, um uh, Prolindro. But he's actually the god. He actually worships the god of thieves. So he's like, all right, we're like making money passively by posing as a priest. That's cool. And then he kind of takes him in. He's like, I'm gonna give you an interview and see if you can fit with me. And we meet the twins, Callow and Gallo, and that's kind of the end of the prologue. So
yeah, I like the yeah, the priest is a fun um character. Um and yeah. So he pretends to be a priest of the 13th god.
that's his real god.
Oh, Paralandro is.
Paralandro is one of the 12 gods, but there's actually a 13th god that's the god of thieves or whatever.
Oh, so the god of thieves is who he actually worships, but he
Yeah.
pretends to be a priest of Paralandro.
Yep, and he gets a bunch of money from everybody.
Yeah,
And
well,
he also pretends to be blind and stuff. It's funny.
yeah. Uh, yeah, I like the way it sets up the story here. Just that idea of like, oh, the thief maker had to go buy the death mark from Kappa Barsavi that gives him the right to kill under any condition can kill Locke Lamora.
Hmm.
Like it said something like, if the crown prince themselves named you heir tomorrow, I could still kill you and nobody would be able to do anything about it. Like it's
Yeah.
like, oh crap. But also like that the whole death mark thing, that being the tooth of the wolf shark. And later on, we get to see these wolf sharks.
Yep.
Um, so it's kind of fun. It reminded me of the Kurosawa in Wheel of Time.
Okay. Well,
And
except not magical.
yeah, not magical, but and then also he didn't make Locke Lamora. Um, Oh no, he did make Locke wear his own death mark. So
Yeah.
that was kind of the point that made it remind me of that, because like, hey, wear this as a reminder that you actually belong to somebody.
Yeah. And I would say this prologue does a really good job of setting the tone of the world. How it's, pretty bleak. And, there's child slavery like all over the place in the first couple of things, plagues, death, you know, people being hung from the gallows, things like that. Very, very like gives me a very Dishonored feel if you ever played that game. Which is
Oh yeah, dude, I'll tell you about that game. I was doing a peaceful run through where you don't kill anybody, and I did not kill anybody, and I beat the game, and I didn't get the achievement for it, and it gave me the stats and said you killed one person. I was like, I was thinking back, and I was like, it must have been the person I choked out and left in an alleyway where rats or water drowned them. Like rats either killed them or water drowned them, and like that was my kill. I was
Yeah,
like, I was so pissed off. Uh,
yeah, it should have been Batman rules. I knock them out and they're perfectly fine, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
jingling keys.
yeah.
Um, Good for babies, bad for Batman. Um, yeah, I really I like the world in here, and reading the prologue, it made me want to know. It made me want more of this, but when it
Mm.
switched over to him, um, like I wanted to know more about Locke with the thief maker, and
Well,
so
we're gonna be getting there, I'm
when
guessing,
we
throughout the book.
yeah, well, when we get like when it went to chapter one, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, this is like 20 years later, I believe, and like Locke is working with Father Chains. I was like, "Ugh, I know it set that up, but I want
Oh,
to go back to.
he's not working with Father James. He's dead.
Did I?
Yeah, they have a whole thing where they're toasting Father James because he's dead, and then they toast the girl that because she's left the city.
Right, I caught that they toasted the girl that left the city, and he kept like Locke was still wondering where she is.
Yeah.
Um, I guess missed that part. Is that in the first chapter?
No, that's in chapter 3 or something.
Had to be
Or
yeah,
chapter 2. 2 or 3.
chapter.
Probably 3.
Yeah, I
Look at
think
my
chapter
notes.
three. Okay,
Yeah. But yeah,
I totally missed that he either missed it or forgot.
yep. He died somewhere in the intervening years. Um, so yeah, I'm guessing we're gonna get more, things like that.
No, that okay. I forgot, but now I no, I remember. Sorry, let me get my tongue untied. I remember that he is the leader of the Gentleman Bastards. It mentioned that, so it makes sense that Father Chains is
Yeah, I don't think they say how he died. I'm guessing of old age or something. But yeah, Rip Father Chains.
Father
Um,
Chains.
yes. So I don't. You can move on to chapter 1 unless you got anything else.
No, the plague is named as the Black Whisper. So,
Yeah.
and then just in general, the Catch Fire Orphans. Um, is that was the name of the graveyard, huh? The Catch Fire or
I forget. Shades Hill is where they're like the cemetery that they live underneath,
oh yeah,
which is
that's
which is
right.
pretty cool.
And Catch Fire had to deal with there was some connotation with it. Uh,
Yeah, I think it's like how like they burned down stuff for the plague or something. I can't remember what. But yeah, so he's with Father Chains, and we get to chapter 1 proper, the Don Salavara game. And I will say that it's kind of interesting the way this book is structured. It's like parts, then either prologue, interlude, or chapters. And then in those, they have like numbered subsections, which is kind of interesting. It reminds me a little bit of how War and Peace is done. Like each kind of like little section, which it's numbered like a chapter, but it's not a chapter, is like maybe like 5 to 10 pages, and it's just kind of interesting way to break it up.
Yeah, in some of these, it goes back like in chapter one, those subsections, it like, okay, here we're in the midst of this con right now. And then the second section is, okay, let's go back to the planning stage and tell you what was supposed to happen because they're waiting on somebody who said they were supposed to do something. And so then we go back and
Yeah.
um, so it is confusing because you not only do you have it going back and forth in time between the prologue and interludes and the chapters, but then you do it in the subsections in the chapter. Um, and I think that was the biggest thing that jarred me
Yeah.
with this book and realizing that. So
Yeah, it's a little strange. So, all right. So, chapter one, we meet the rest of Locke Lamora's crew. He's now older. I forget if they say exactly how old he is now. He's like probably in his 20s or something like that. So,
I think it said it's been like 20 years.
yeah, so he's probably at 26 or so. We meet Bug, who is like this young 12-year-old like apprentice gentleman bastard, and Jean, this like pretty burly dude's like kind of like muscle. Hasn't really done too much yet, but he seems to be a big part of it. One of Lockmore's friends, also a gentleman bastard, and basically on a they're trying to do a scheme on this guy down Salvara, who so his mother, the Don's mother died, and he vowed to her to always go to this one temple and like pray on this one day, so they know where he's gonna go, and then they're staging like a fake robbery because they know he's like, I guess, noblish at heart, and he's gonna go and like rescue them. Like that's the plan. So then they can introduce some other stuff, which we'll get into later. So they're doing that. Bug is looking out for like guards and passerbys so they can warn them like when the Don's coming, also their stuff. And we get like you said, some flashbacks. We get like they hear like Lockamore and them hear screams, but then it cuts to like Bug before the screams happen, and he like does a fun little distraction where he like jumps off a building and then like hits a guard in the face and like runs away. It's kind of crazy. Um, he like hears the three whistles and he's like, oh no, that means there's gonna be crossovers. I better run real fast. He like starts hauling ass. Anyway, the ruse is successful. Basically, uh, Don Salvara and his pretty badass, we find out, guard, Kote, um, basically come upon the muggings. They go and like try to like stop them, and the muggers get away, but they save the dude. And Locke is disguised as Lucas Fairright. Uh, he's a servant of House Bel Alster of Imberlane and the Kingdom of the Seven Mars. So he's a foreigner. Um, and he says basically they get off of him and he wants to do business with this Don Jacobo, who is coincidentally, weirdly enough, Don Salvar's enemy. So he's like, hey, you haven't shown yourself to him yet, so why don't you come and talk to me before you go and do this deal? And they're like, I couldn't, but you saved my life, so I guess I will. So it's a very fun kind of like, oh no, you doth protest, huh? Yeah, I guess I will have to go with you. Um,
what I wanted all along.
yeah, yeah. Um, then it's fun. They're going back to they're getting escorted back to their inn. Uh, and then they run into Gala, who's disguised as this guy, Ivante Escari, who's like a friend of this fake guy, and like gives him like, oh my God, nice to meet you, blah blah blah. So it's like further getting legitimacy in the mind of the Don. And then they they're like he's like, hey, you must come to my barge and like sup with me and tell me about business. And then basically the end of the thing, um, there's some ominous things of like somebody's following them. We don't know who that is yet. There's like a bird at the end of chapter three, so something's happening with that. And then Bug comes back and there's like, hey, we all made it, and then they kind of rejoice.
I thought in chat at the end of chapter one, they said there was a shadow of a wing above.
Yeah,
Well,
that might just be the bird.
yeah, it seemed like a big shadow.
Yeah, for some reason I got it as like a person, but it's probably just the bird.
Yeah, it seems like more than just like your typical bird, like as if it was meant to
Oh,
be like a
yeah.
dragon or something.
Or like somebody's. Yeah, let's say it's what's fun about this world is very much like Game of Thrones, where there's like light magic. Like we get the shark's tooth, we get some other stuff. We get some like hints of like physicers. We don't know what those are yet, but they could be.
I think those are like physicians.
Yeah, they could be magical or not. We don't really know yet. Um, because we have like an enchanted shark's tooth. So yeah, there's like light magic, which is fun. So this bird could be a magic bird. We don't really know.
Yeah, I like yeah, I was gonna ask you about that too, because I don't know what that could be or why. Um there were a couple of other things that stuck out to me, like terms like false light, um, fading false light. I don't know if that's supposed to be like moonlight
I
or
think it's because there's like all these like crystal structures around them that are made from the
elder glass.
the elves, I'm guessing. Yeah, it's called elder glass. So I'm thinking like maybe the sunlight's trapped in that and it starts to fade, but I'm not sure. I could have made that up.
Yeah, those are two things I didn't fully understand.
I
Like
don't think
they're
it's been.
obviously significant for some reason, false light and elder glass.
Yeah,
Um, but I didn't get enough, like nothing stood out to fully explain it to me yet. So
yeah. I think
in clear verbiage.
yeah, I think elder right now elder glass is just there to be like, hey, this is a fantasy world, and it's gonna be getting kind of crazy. So. But yeah, I don't know exactly what. I did like when so a bug appears in like a cask of ale, and the twins just like roll him down the streets, getting him out of the cask. That was funny.
Yeah. And when he was like, "Hey, he's like, why are you in this?" Uh, I told this guy I was gonna pay him, like six six coin, and they're like, "6 coin?" He told me it was for 8, and I gave him 10. And it's like, oh well, I stole this from him, so he really only got such and such. It's like, why did you steal that from him? Like I was in the cask the whole time. He wouldn't suspect me, you know. But yeah, I love that I love the characters here. So you know, you met the twins who nobody really knows which one is which. It's kind of like the Fred and George Weasley thing, um, where they're like, "Well, today I'm Callow, and then but tomorrow I might be Galdo." Um, and so you met them in the prologue, and then they're still around with Locke, and they're older than Locke, but Locke has taken over, and that's kind of due to the prophecy, uh, kind of savantism of Locke. Um,
Yep,
so everything's setting him up as being like, oh, he's just like too good for his own self,
yep,
um, the thief who the boy who stole too much, you know. Um,
yep. He's just very good at doing stuff and likes to do things in flashy ways. So.
and
Well,
I like that he's progressed from, just he was too good to be a simple thief, and so they he became the gentleman bastard, which it's like it's the con game. It's the I'm pretending to be somebody, um, and having all these schemes that we're going to see come up in chapter 2, where it explains that whole con a little
yeah.
bit more in detail.
It's, yeah, it's kind of funny. This is like, what if that con? at the very beginning of Mistborn was like a book, and they were like they have like that guy that wants to replace people and like do a highway robbery or whatever. And he's like doing all this crazy like maneuvering. So kind of like what if that was like a book? Just fun.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, the way I described this to somebody that is a Cosmere fan, I said it kind of reminds me of if you got the Unseen Court doing their own heists, and you get a book of that.
Yeah,
So,
I think the setting is more Mistborn, but yeah, I can see that.
oh yeah, the
Yeah,
setting is totally more Mistborn
yeah.
than Roshar. But
I
if you took the Unseen Court and you put them on Scadrial in Mistborn Era One.
yeah. And then I mean there are a lot of like sea creatures, so it's kind of like Roshar a little bit, as we find out. Um, not, not crabs. There was a giant octopus, but yeah, no crabs yet. We'll have to see.
No crabs yet.
All right, we can move on to chapter 2 unless you got anything more.
Interlude
Oh,
rather.
interlude. Sorry,
Yeah.
scroll down my notes too far. Interlude. Locke explains.
What does
All
he
the
explain? Because I didn't write shit down.
like all the interludes. These are flashbacks to basically the conversation with Father Chains, and then it progresses on there. But they're like when Locke was 6 or so. We'll see if they jump forward in time later. But Father Change is interrogating Locke about the two people he got killed, which is Veslin and Gregor.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
bas
Now I
basically,
remember. Continue.
uh, Veslin was basically an older kid that was like a giant bully and a dick to like all the younger kids, taking all their like spoils and like just belittling him and stuff. So he's like, all right, we're gonna get over with him. We're gonna have like Father Chains beat him up. Because this guy, I'm not Father Chains, the Thief Maker beat him up. This guy sucks. So he basically schemed to have this like really expensive coin gotten and then put into his room. Uh Gregor Veslin's room. And then he told basically the thief maker like, hey, this guy's taking I saw this guy take some money from the guards and and then basically he's like, ha ha ha, he's gonna get beaten up, but instead he's like, nope, they all got murked. And he's like, Father James like, you're an idiot. You didn't think of the consequences. You didn't you're not sus uh quiet enough, like you didn't think through all the way through. Um, like basically, you you stole too you he had too much money, so he would that might be later. Yes, so he doesn't really explain what Locke got wrong on this plan, but he's like, holy shit, you caused those two people to die, and you also caused probably most of your collaborators to also die. And we don't know why yet, but we're gonna get that later.
Yeah, this section. Did you read Ender's Game?
No.
That's a really good book. But in Ender's Game, without going to too many spoilers or any spoilers, really. I mean, there's another character that bullies, like Ender gets bullied a lot because he's a third child, and so like in that book, like being a first or second child is the better thing, but being a third is you're you're kind of an outcast. Um, but there, when he went to flight school, there was one particular older kid that bullied him a lot, and it just that dynamic just kind of uh, reminded me of this situation with the older boys. Um, but yeah, it was funny. I like how so Chains was like, "Hey, he did the thing where we're not quite sure yet, but I think it was the thing where a parent will be like, "Hey, I need you to tell me what happened. I want to hear it from you. I already know exactly what happened. So if you tell me a lie, I will know that you're lying and you're going to be in more trouble. So go ahead and tell me what happened for real. Which,
Yeah.
of course makes Locke be like, well, I don't want to die right now, so I guess I'll tell the truth here. And Father Chains is like, good, good,
Yeah.
yes.
He's also like, if you lie to me, I'm just gonna kill you.
Yeah. So,
Which, yeah.
but we still, I think that Father Chains doesn't fully know everything, but um, he could.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the Thief Baker told him quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but it could totally be the vessel of okay, as Locke tells him the truth, it allows Father Chains to educate him on, hey, you did that wrong, and this is
Yeah.
why, and you should do things this way. So,
Yep. Yep. And if he lies, then he will be able to just get rid of a problem right then and there, which is good. Yeah, fun little thing. The other next interlude's fun with more explanation of what he did wrong and stuff. But we can move on to chapter two unless you got anything else.
no
All right.
second touch at the teeth show.
Yep. Which is a fun thing because they use the term touch as like contact with a potential mark. So it's the second time he's gonna be contacting the Don. So basically, Locke is disguised as Farthright, and he's on this barge that the Don owns, and they're in this like shifting revel, which is like this giant Mardi Gras party on the water with all these barges and boats and like crazy freaking
Totally,
attractions and stuff, and like
it
prisoner
reminded me of
fights and stuff.
Waterworld.
Yeah, it's really cool. And that's kind of like the background of all this stuff. You get like, well, we'll get to some wolf sharks and like some other crazy stuff, but yeah. So he's like on this barge. Uh, he basically there's some like pleasantries and stuff with like the wife of the Don kind of like teasing him and stuff, and it's really interesting. We learned that Locke is not into blondes, which I thought was funny. I like that Jean was like, well, I can look for the both of us.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
I like that Locke was like, out of all the hair colors they could have chosen, blonde is not the one they should have.
Yeah, so now we have to. I'm guessing that Sabitha is a blonde, or maybe not, because he doesn't. He only likes brunettes or something. I can't remember if they say he has a hair color.
I got the feeling that he liked Sabitha,
Yes.
so she's not a blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And his wife is pretty cool. She's like an alchemical botanist, which so we learned that like they've been teasing like the word alchemy about a lot of stuff, like alchemical fires and like in the lamps and shit. So she's this weird alchemical botanist. And then basically after all the pleasantry and stuff, he lays out the situation, at least this fake situation that he's come to like do them with. And it's basically he's from the kingdom of Seven Morrows in Emberlane. And then basically there's the king, Graf von Emberlane, and the Black Table, which is basically all the merchants guilds. And there's like tension and brewing that there's going to be like a civil war. And that there's going to be a civil war, and it's basically going to destroy House Bel Aster's like vineyards and grounds and stuff. And they're basically this house that makes a lot of money from selling this like special brandy. For a long time, I thought it was wine because they're talking about vineyards and stuff, but it's brandy. And we learn later this brandy doesn't give you hangovers, which is pretty awesome. Uh, so he's like, yeah, they're gonna like the way where we're situated at. We're gonna like an army's gonna come through and destroy our stuff no matter what's gonna happen. So we're kind of screwed. So we're looking to kind of get out of it. And he kind of shows that he's legit by pulling out a year 502 brandy, which is like super rare and super expensive. I like the little aside of how he got it. It was fun. He like stole it from somebody and had to like pay off the assassins and stuff. Um, so yeah, he basically wants them to put up. It's going to be around $25,000 fake fantasy coins to basically make a fleet and kind of bring some grain to Emberlane, and then they're gonna transfer the unaged barrels of brandy as disguised as beer bottle barrels on there, and then they can take it back to Camorra. And then once all the supply runs out, they're gonna be able to sell all the brandy for lots and lots of money. And also they'll give them a small percentage shares of like their like stock shares in their company basically. Um, so that's
But
kind of yeah, go ahead.
from my understanding, the what's in the beer bottles is actually beer and not brandy.
Well, they're not actually gonna do that.
Right.
Yeah.
But like it so one, they wouldn't actually, like, if they were going to do it, like, it's weird. When I was reading it, he made it seem like, oh yeah, there's no brandy, so it's gonna be filled with, whatever, and you're gonna.
Yeah, basically they were like, "Hey, we have this like tavern that everybody knows is us, and we've been secretly replacing the beer stock with our unaged brandies, but they're going to be marked. They're going to be marked as beer. So when you put it on the thing, they're going to be marked as beer. So don't worry that you're getting these beer casks. Actually getting brandy.
Okay, so I know it's a whole con, but I was like, surely, like, I don't know why. I was like, part of me was like, yeah, they're gonna go over there and they're gonna pull this back, and it's gonna be beer bottles, and it's gonna actually be beer. But like the Don, he he doesn't know what the actual brandy tastes like, really. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Well, we find out later that this is never going to happen in the first place because of what happens later in, in chapter three. But but yeah, that's kind of the plan. So it's basically like a civil war is going to happen and it's going to ruin all the supply of this brandy for a long time. Except they're going to have all the brandy like to themselves and corner the market, and then they're going to sell them all and get everybody's going to get lots of money. And then they're going to have good relationships with the brandy maker house, and they're going to like be cool, and everybody's going to love them. That's kind of but the guy's going to have to put up 25,000 fantasy coins, which is like half his net worth. So it's a little risky on his part.
yeah,
And
yeah. Um, are you where did you finish? Are you?
yeah, it's finished. He also shows off this fake like uh, unaged brandy that they like made, which is pretty cool. To like further, there's a lot of like what's fun is there's a lot of compounding like evidence for the all the plans. Like in chapter one, he meets the dude, then he meets a guy that knows about him. I mean, like this is like he brings this a really expensive bottle that he like says is for like wooing high class clientele, and he also brings this like unopened, unaged bottle, which is like further cementing his credibility. So it's fun.
Yeah, I like all that goes on. Sorry, that was very vague. Um, no, one I didn't read as deep into this as I have been reading on the other books. Um, but so my understanding, I thought all both bottles of brandy were fake,
No, the 502 was real.
real. So,
It was
so
yeah, but the other one was like I think he said like a 550 that they like added some shit to, and then bottled all special.
And that's the
So
one he opened up just willy-nilly and was like, here,
yeah,
drink.
yeah, because like that's like their special crazy one that like so that was all insane. Because it hasn't been aged, so it's like you know burning like $10,000 or something just by doing that. Um,
Yeah, it was. I liked that the whole um, plan was being laid out while they're like basically watching gladiatorial games happen as well.
mm,
Um, what were the name of the women? It
they
was
had
only
a
women, right?
so there was at first there was the like the prisoner fights, and then which were like pretty cool. They like fight to maybe get reduced sentences, but they all got like knocked out. And then there was the teeth show, which a chapter is named off of, which is only women, and they had like a C name that was very Italian. It was like Cruzados or some shit like that. So, but yeah, yeah, that was cool. So basically, like these women have these javelins and other things, and they like fight these giant wolf sharks. And there's a lady, Cecilia, and she's fighting, and she gets taken down and eaten. It's very gnarly. We also find out that Locke knows that the twins that are like uh the best shark fighters, and we don't really get how he knows them or anything like that, but I'm sure that will not come up again.
Yeah. So the name of the women, Contrariqualia.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the chick, yeah, Cecilia de Ricura. She's been she's been at this for a while, hasn't she?
No, she was she like a decently. The Don's wife doesn't think she has that good skills though. And what is the revelry coming to? This girl sucks. It was kind of mean, especially since she gets eaten.
Yeah. She,
But also final thing is that the Don's like, all right, this let's do the deal, and he like shakes his hand. And there one last bow to the giant plan is that there's a time limit of a week because he says that the ports are going to be closed, so they need to do it quickly. So there's a time crunch as well to this plan.
which scams. So, we have our giveaway that's happening, and with giveaways, there's always people scamming. It's like, hey, give us your information, or one of not that it happened. I mean, that did happen with their giveaway. People pretending to be us. But uh, other any other time, there's somebody like calls you and says, "Hey, you need to take this care of this right away, or X is going to happen." Um, it's always people know that urgency creates poor decision making. So yeah, never fall for those things. It says, hey, we're the police, and you have this warrant, you missed jury duty or whatever, and you need to pay us, and we'll waive the thing, but you got to pay us right now over the phone. It's that don't fall for those scams.
Yep. Unless you want to give Locke Lamora some of your hard-earned coin.
Yeah, Locke Lamora would love your hard-earned coin.
Yeah, so it was a fun chapter. I get a lot of the details of the plan. Uh, we're gonna get more of it later, but that's the second touch.
Get the third touch later.
You do get the third touch. Uh, yeah. You got anything else on this chapter?
Um, no, I it was fun.
No. I like to, as it's been going, I feel like the world's been getting fleshed out more. Is it so like getting these crazy floating barges and this like crazy revelry was really cool, and like these shark ladies that fight sharks. That seems pretty crazy. I would not want to do that.
No.
Kind of like bullfighters from Spain and stuff like that. So it was fun.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But yeah, go on to the interlude, second interlude. This one is Risen's interlude. I'm checking. This one is
She made it
Locke's.
off world.
Yeah, she made it off world. She's like, why did I come to this place? I'm just getting robbed left and right. My flying chair doesn't work. I'm like, oh, it sucks. Um, but yes,
No context spoilers.
mm, eh, very light spoilers. Um,
But no context. So
true. Uh, we get interlude 2, Locke stays for dinner. This is when we get more of the discussion with Father Chain and Locke. He tells him about the errors of his ways. One that he did not realize that he should have known, but he thought that taking coin from guards, yellow jackets, was not a killing offense. He says it always works the other way around. Guards get bribed; they don't bribe us because that's really bad. And then that two, the coin that he had was like the white coin or something. I forget the name of it, but it was worth too much money. So obviously the insinuation is that he was getting paid to do something crazy, like either take out the thief maker or do something crazy. So that was a admission of guilt that it was going to be something major was going to happen. And three, you didn't think about the collateral damage of Gregor and his little urchin friends. That basically, once it got out that Father Chain was not Father Chain. The Thief Maker was kind of made to look a fool by this like little kid. Like he couldn't have that happen because it'll make everybody all the other kids like look at him and be like, "Oh, you're weak." So he had to basically shut everybody up. So everybody that knew this had to die. And the only reason Locke wasn't killed is that he had skills and the thief maker could recoup some money. So it's like, yeah, you done messed up. You need to learn patience. You need to learn to think through the consequences of your actions and like properly divvy out the risk reward type thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
and the roommate definitely had to die because it was like, well, if it's this much money, he definitely knew and was in on it, and he didn't
yeah,
give him up. So
yep. So yeah, that's and then he kind of like goes. There's like he goes underneath the church, and they're like basically the secret hideout of the Gentleman Bastards, which is really cool. So like you have the church of that god that starts with a P at the top, and then like
Pedro.
yeah, yeah, and then he goes underneath, and it's like a cool hideout, cool Batman hideout. And then we he gets food and he's gonna start his training, and we get the first mention of the lady Sabitha, and we he also says that hey, you gotta go meet Kappa Barsabi, which we'll see later. Yeah, that's kind of the interlude. It's fun.
Yeah, and he basically also learns how to interact with nobles. He gets taught how to like set the table and proper dining etiquette and all this kind of stuff in this chapter. Um, yeah, I don't have too much like to talk about or discuss yet with the book. Maybe as the book progresses, I'll have more. So
Yeah, this first part is very a lot of setup, a lot of character making, world building, getting the core of the heist kind of happening. We haven't had the classic everything goes wrong moment in a heist that's in every heist movie. This is kind of more of like the kind of skip, kind of like a little. The interludes are kind of like getting the band together, and like this is kind of like the first initial heist. And I'm curious what's gonna go really badly
Yeah,
because it always does. Or else it wouldn't be a heist movie.
yeah, most of this is pretty straightforward so far. So
Yeah. All right. Chapter 3 is a little weird, but it's the imaginary men. This so this has a lot of time jumping back, time wobbliness, which is kind of weird. So starts off, and Don Salvara is chilling, and it goes into his study, and then there's two men in there, and they're like, "Hey, sit down. We're Midnighters," which are like the secret police of the Duke, who is in charge of the entire city, country, whatever. And he's like, "Hey, guess what? You've been duped by the Thorn of Camor." And like, "Oh shit!" And like at this point, we don't know if this is Locke Lamora or if this is like actually happening, and like we're gonna get some like police officers that know about it, and our people are in trouble. It's like, oh shit. Then we switch to the bastards. They're celebrating, they're eating. They're like, "Ah, Bug, you're so crazy for doing what you did." And this is where we get the part where we learn that Father Change is dead, and that Sabitha is gone to another city, and that they Locke and her were in a relationship, and that Locke has not gotten over her. He's still because like one of the twins is like, "Man, you should just go to a prostitute and like have some fun." He's like, "No, I'm not gonna do that," because he's still hung up on the lady. Then we switch back to Don Salvari, and they're like, "Hey, guess what? You've been tricked by this guy. He's like this crazy Thorn of Camor," and they lay out all the things. Where it's like, "Hey, isn't this all coincidence that like all this stuff happened, and you just fell into the thing, and he's already taken you for 5,000 coins, and like look at all this stuff." And you're like, "Oh shit, they know everything. This is crazy."
and he lists out a couple other things. He's like, "Hey, have you heard about this that happened and this person got robbed or whatever? They lost all this." And he's like, "No."
And like exactly because they're too prideful to tell anybody. Um, but we've been on them for years, trying to find out. Then it kind of switches back to before all this happened, and um, basically they're dressing up to do the midnight ruse that happened previous part. So it's like we find out that they are actually doing this. Um, and so that's kind of that. They're getting all ready. It turns out Jean is a very good seamstress, which is fun. Um, and we also hear something, I can't remember where, but he has two hatchets that he has, so he's like the muscle of the group, which that's cool. We don't see too many hatchet fighting. Um, and then it comes back to the Don and Locke and all them, and they are uh basically like, "Hey, you're gonna go along with it because we're watching them and we want their entire network. So you need to keep going with the ruse. And don't worry, we're gonna totally like catch them with all your money. And if you happen to lose some of your money in the thing, the Duke is totally gonna repay you. So keep giving him all the money while this happens." And he's like, "And if you don't, like the Duke is gonna look really cross at you, so you better not mess this up." Which is fun. So we kind of learned that this is the true ruse, that like they were never gonna do the shipping thing. They're always just gonna get a bunch of money about doing this. And then it does another flashback to before they enter the thing, and then they enter the thing and have like a struggle beating up the like bodyguard that's really badass. Honestly, this part
Monty.
shouldn't have been in this thing because it was like one flashback too many for me. Because it was like we already know they get out safely and stuff. And then then they head back to their headquarters and they're followed by a bird. You're like, oh shit, what's this bird? So that was a lot of shit. But yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it was like it was weird. I knew that part and it was going back and it's like, oh, okay. Because at first, in the first section, you get it that, oh, the Midnighters are coming. Oh, is this Locke or is it somebody else?
yeah,
And then you get a flashback and you're like, oh, okay, Locke and them were just chilling around at a table. So is it the same night or is this a flashback? And then it goes back and find out more. And it's like, okay, well, still not sure. And it comes back and it's like, all right, we're gonna be the Midnighters. And I was like, okay. And then on the last bit, like I didn't realize until the very end of it that oh, they flashed back and this is when they go into it. At first I thought they were like going back.
yeah,
I was like, oh, this is their second visit as the Midnighters, and what are they doing? Like, and then I had to go back once they said sit down or whatever, and I was like, wait, this sounds familiar. So I went back to the first section. I was like, oh, that's what they told them. That's what the Midnighters told them at first. Like, okay, so this is circling back around, which
yeah.
is
It was one flashback too many because I don't think because we already knew that the bodyguard got knocked out. So we didn't need that whole thing, even though it was kind of fun seeing like Locke get his ass kicked and stuff like that, and this like drugged out bodyguard.
all
Um,
while the Don and Donna were just like he left the lights on in his study and went and banged his wife, and they beat up his body, ended up beating up his bodyguard. And when he came back, you're like, "What are y'all doing here?"
yeah, like I like the
Like it was fun to see that, like
yeah.
so, but it could have
Yeah, that's what I mean is like you can definitely tell this is like a first novel because some things are a little clunky. That I
like
think
the
like a
first section could totally have been the Don like leaving his bedroom with his wife and going to his like getting that oh he was banging his wife and then he left
yeah,
and
or you could have
then
like had like have the first part right where it's like the um the Dawn meets the Midnighters. Like, oh shit. Then it cuts to them celebrating and them like preparing to enter the manor. And then you enter the manor, beat up the guy, cut back to that, and have them like convince them to do all the stuff instead of like this these like two other cuts where we kind of know it already happened. It was just a little weird. But yeah, we get another bird.
yeah
Um,
what is that is the last words of that huh
yeah, something like that.
what is it when they slipped back into the Temple District it beat its wings and rose into the darkness in a lazy spiraling circle until it was above the mist of more and lost against the gray haze of the low-hanging clouds.
Yeah, so I guess it could be something other than a bird. Could be a little like dragon or something.
Not once was there any reason to glance up.
Yeah, some like flying thing. So it's probably a magical. I'm guessing maybe the real Midnighters are after him, which would be kind of funny. You know what I thought at first, which was going to be funny? It was going to be more comedic than I think this book is going to be. But it was they like the Midnighters actually contacted him, and then they were to come back, and he's gonna be like, "What? I already talked to you guys." And they're like, "Oh shit!" And it's like the Midnighters are on us. At first, I thought that was going to happen. It was going to be kind of funny, but it didn't. It just turned out to be flashbacks.
Yeah, that would have been funny.
But
Because I thought, yeah, it was too many flashbacks.
yeah, and none of it was bad. It was kind of like I think you could have rearranged it a little bit to make it a little bit more coherent.
Agreed.
But then we get the final part, the interlude, the last mistake. Um, like always, this is a flashback. This is the day after he was, celebrating with Father Change and all that. Locke is super hung over. This is where we learn that the Ashling brandy does not give hangovers because it's like magical. Then they're gonna go see Kappa Bravasi. Um, and we learn about we've been hearing about this throughout the book so far about gentled animals. Um, and then we learn that there's like this crazy substance called wraithstone that you like burn and inhale, and it basically destroys your mind and makes you kind of mindless. And they only use it for animals because they find it too cruel for humans. So they can like do it and make the animal super docile, which I think it's kind of weird because you could just, actually train your horse or your stuff and make it be really good for you. But I guess they're lazy or I don't have like it seems kind of pointless to do it to animals when you can just train them. 'Cause people have been riding horses for thousands of years. It was a little odd. I don't really understand that.
Yeah, I think, yeah, like, I don't know why they would do it to animals, but it seems like it's in the book to just be as a, hey, you better
Fantasy.
watch out or somebody could do this to you.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just weird. I was just trying to think. It's mentioned something like it makes it so like the bustle of like the high traffic cities doesn't startle animals and stuff like that. But I'm like, we've been having animals in like London and stuff for thousands of years. So I don't really understand. But it's fine. But we you also get this is where we get the mention of the Eldrin, which are like the precursor race of this fantasy world that created they created the glass in like this city. So just more kind of like hints that this is not just like, you know, like London or whatever. This is actually a magical world, which is fun. I don't know if I'll ever meet an Eldrin or if they even still exist, but we're they're standing in the ruins of their civilization, which is cool. Uh, then basically they're going to go see Kappa Pravasi. We get kind of a history lesson on his like rise to power. Basically, he used to be a bunch of gangs in Camor, but he like basically took them all out and like consolidated them all into under his umbrella. Um, and he's the one that established the secret peace with the police and the nobles and stuff. Where basically they're not gonna rob from any nobles. That's kind of like their thing. Then there's this like kind of fun story about him like tricking all of his rivals by having like this rug that if it's pulled up because he doesn't want blood on it, like there people are gonna die. But if it's like laid down because it's super nice, people are safe. And basically, he has a point where like it's uh it's laid down so that all of his rivals think it's safe, and they like walk in a little bit unprepared and like just get massacred. So kind of showing how ruthless and how subterfuge can work against your enemies, which is fun. Uh, then they go to the last mistake, which is the name of the interlude, but also the name of this bar that the Kappa runs. It's inside this like broken tower of the glass, which is indestructible from human means, which is fun. So it's like in this crazy alien tower, and uh basically Locke goes and swears a Pazan oath, or Pizzo oath, something like that. My Italian is bad. Uh, to the Kappa Bravasi, we meet his daughter Nazca, who's like this crazy little hellion, who Locke also swears loyalty to. So I'm guessing we're gonna see her in the future. Um, and then kind of the interlude ends with Father Chain's being like, yeah, that was a bunch of bullshit. We have to do it to keep up appearances, but we're totally gonna rob all the nobles. That's kind of it was fun.
Yeah, I don't have much. I really enjoyed the the Kappa, the story of the rug, and it was like, yeah. And then there was one time where he laid it out and he had a big feast, and he's like, hey, come dine with me. And they're like, well, sure. The rug's laid out and there's food all on the table. Come sit. It kind of reminded me of the Red Wedding. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, also, we get some more magic. So there's like this magic shark tooth that like you have to basically take a shot and like don't swallow the tooth and then pull it out without cutting yourself. And but it like moves, so it like cuts his inner cheek and like bleeds. So it's like, hi, you're now bloodbound to me. And that was fun, if you remember that.
yes, I do remember that now that you told me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. It was interesting. I like the shark and kind of this weird, you know, ocean motif to all like the different like parts of the city. We got crabs in Roshar, now we're getting sharks in Locke Lamora.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm guessing this guy's gonna show back up and along with his daughter, so that'll be fun. Especially if they find out Locke is violating the peace. It's gonna be real bad for him. Maybe he has a bird. Maybe that's him. Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe he like ran him off and now is he still around? Like, did they talk about him in the current chapters? I can't remember.
Uh,
In current day?
it might be his daughter. I don't know because I think they said Kappa Bravasi, but it could be the daughter.
Yeah, something definitely is gonna come back with a bunch of those flashbacks. Um, yeah, I also find it interesting that like the interlude, like the little quotes and everything are from Shakespeare plays.
Yeah.
Like why Shakespeare plays?
I
Uh
mean, you mean, might as well put the goat in there, right?
yeah, it just seems weird because it's not Earth, right?
Not that we know.
Yeah, not the yeah, I don't know of a place called Camor, but uh
I mean, it could be like Shannara after, nuclear war or whatever, which is what Shannara is. But yeah, yeah.
I
I
mean, you know
enjoyed
it's
this.
fine.
True, kind of.
Randland is Earth.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I like. Very much gave me a Moss Isley vibe. Wretched Hive of Scum and Villainy. And yeah, I'm looking forward to more of it. So, let's see. Do you have a prediction for what faction or who the bird belongs to?
Uh, ugh, man, I haven't thought about it, but it could definitely be. So, like, if it's a bird and it's spying, then I could see it being somebody like another orphan that was from the Thief Maker,
Hmm.
back in the day, or it's like Kappa Barsavi, um, kind of faction
Okay.
going on. Uh, Definitely feel like it's somebody that is hip to Locke
Yeah,
and
seems that
knows
way.
knows what Locke is and does. So maybe it's a Midnighter. Maybe it's the Midnighters.
Yeah, they seem to have crazy powers.
Yeah.
We get a mention of like Forget the name. It was like the Whisper King or something. It was like the leader of the Midnighters that was seemingly crazy. Forgot the guy's name.
Yeah, I don't recall. I did not do the best job of making notes this time. So next section I will. I do apologize to you, Justin, and listeners that it wasn't as much of a conversation. Um, well, had lots of stuff happening last week, so
Oh, good.
didn't get to do it this time, but hopefully one episode out of 101 uh, doesn't crucify me. So,
You're crucified. Sorry.
oh God, all right,
Have fun with that.
well, I mean, we know a few people that were crucified, so
True.
not personally. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Whisper King sounds
It's something like that.
familiar.
It's when they are getting ready. Because they talk about the badge that they had to like have specially made and another which was cool. Um, 'Cause these guys are like, you know, they're secret place, they're spooks. Um, so they had to go outside of town to get this thing made, which was really cool. What I do like about this so far, and we'll have to see if it keeps going, but the everybody is very smart in this book so far, which is very important for like a heist thing. So like all Locke's people are very smart. Um, you know, the twins, Jean, him, and everything. Um, but also like the Don is very smart. Like he goes through all the checks and balances of like what would he need to do to have to believe this person, but
Hmm.
Locke just outsmarts him all the way with all these different levels of ruse that like really just bring him in. So it's very believable that this would happen, which sometimes, if you don't do it right in these sort of things, they can be very it's the spider, sorry. The Gray King. There we go.
The
Gray
Gray
King.
King.
Yeah. So I got something like I got close. But yeah, so I will say that so far I hope it keeps up. I assume it will because these are very popular and I remember it ending good. I don't really remember anything about this novel. So yes, one thing I look forward to and I'm enjoying so far is the how smart everybody is.
I would agree. Like there has not been a moment where a character did something and I just said, you were stupid for doing that. Like, Locke is smart, you know, as a young kid with the thief baker, all of his mistakes were just ignorance. But excuse me, he seems to have learned uh, a lot under Father Chain's tutelage over the last 20 something years. So, but yeah, I look forward to seeing where it goes. The relationship between him and Father Chains in the past, and then uh, complications that are going to come up with between um, him and Don Salvara with that whole heist going on.
Oh, one last prediction. Do you think that the girl Gentleman Bastard is gonna show up this book?
I think so. It could the bird could be hers.
Could be. It'd be fun.
I I think that would be I think that's my biggest yeah. I think that's my number one pick right there.
Alright.
Is it belongs to her.
I will not say anything because I know the answer to that question at least.
Okay. Um all right, so next next recording we will be covering all of part 2. So if you have this copy of the book, read to page 425. But whatever book you're in, stop when you get to the page that has the Roman numeral 3 and says Revelation.
Yeah. Just little tease for all of us. Chapter 5 is titled The Gray King. So, ooh, we're gonna get some crazy shit there, probably.
Yeah. Chapter 4 is at the court of Kappa Barsabi.
Yeah, stuff's,
So,
stuff's
that,
popping off.
yeah. So we're going to find out who Kappa Barsabi is.
See if this the daughter or the old man still kicking.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, excited to do that. Like I said, I will have more notes to have more of a discussion here and less just rehashing the story. And don't forget to visit our sponsor, Mudcat Whiskers. Use code PAPERWEIGHTS at checkout to save yourself 15%. Congratulations to whoever won the giveaway. We don't know yet because we recorded this before it was picked. But it's released after the person got picked. It's pretty cool package, giveaway package. Lots of great stuff. Happy to do it just to celebrate 100 episodes, and look forward to quite a few more at this point. So I don't intend to stop yet. There will be a day where we do stop, but right now is not the time, and we will have much more fun.
Mhm.
So we will catch you next week.
Bye.